take it all so well, and I'm mesmerized, mesmerized. I know it's hard, but you can rest your mind. It'll be alright, be alright. I don't wanna leave, I need you. We could be the light, so won't you run away with me tonight? I could be the one that you've been wanting all your life, 'cause I know that I'm ready to go. Don't do the brighter side. La la la, la 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 la. La la la, la 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 la. La la la, la 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 la. La la la, don't do the brighter side. La la la, la 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 la. La la la, la 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 la. La la la, la 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 la. La la la, don't do the brighter side. Don't wanna leave, I need you. We could be the light, so won't you run away with me tonight? I could be the one that you've been wanting all your life, 'cause I know that I'm ready to go. Don't do the brighter side.
There's no mercy.
In my head like a melody, laying back in this bed, playing back what you said, and it's not really helping me. Coming down from this high is a dangerous ride. I'm coasting, out of body floating, lost in my emotions. I've been spinning slowly, trying to keep my head above water. Then you go and pull me under. Crazy thing, I know I'm done for, stuck in this state of wonder.
Yes, 빠지게 돼. I don't care, 모든 걸 사퇴해. 전부 잊게 돼. And I just want you right. I can fly. You're the only one who can keep me from going. Tomorrow you'll get a taste of your medicine. Tomorrow I'll disappear. Tomorrow I'm gonna lose, pack it up with the rest of my dreams. Tomorrow, and by the
that you I'm drifting. Give me time. I need some more. Our story's only beginning. Tomorrow you'll get a taste of your medicine. Tomorrow I'll disappear. Tomorrow I'm gonna lose myself with the rest of my dreams. Tomorrow, and by the time that I'm gone, maybe then you'll notice me. I know it's easy to get lost in yesterday, to bring back all these things. I know you love them, I know you love them, but I know that I can try again to warm your heart. Please understand, things don't stay forever. We say we want to make a change. I must admit it feels a little strange to see it in a different. And even if it passes by, this isn't how we say goodbye. Just until next time. There's nothing wrong with shedding tears to make sure that your side is clear and bring to light all their silly fears.
It's terrific. I'm so proud of you.
Just when you forgot, maybe take the time to stop and cherish what we had instead of missing what we had. You only notice when it's gone because to satisfy what you long for. You will have to try again to fill your heart. Please understand, things don't stay forever. You know you've got to make a change. You must admit it feels a little strange
land, and I don't know what to do. Floating through vacant spaces, couldn't stop if I wanted to. As gravity takes my body out of your stratosphere, I'm combing the skies to light up the dark, 'cause I feel so alone out here in this galaxy. Inside of me, don't wanna be your enemy. No, this fallacy, it's guiding me as it takes me away from you. And I'm drifting away from you. In this galaxy in my mind I've made for you, this tragedy comes to life out of the blue. And I don't know why, but I feel most alive when I'm searching for these signs of life, in the hopes that they'll lead to you. There's a fantasy in my mind I made for you. The agony comes to life in waves of blue. And I don't know why, but I'm drifting away from you. Oh, I'm drifting away from this galaxy inside of me. Don't wanna be your enemy. No, this fallacy, it's guiding me as it takes me away from you. And I'm drifting away from you. this galaxy in my mind I've made for you. This tragedy comes to life out of the blue. And I don't know why, but I feel most alive when I'm searching for these signs of life, in the hopes that they'll lead to you. There's a fantasy in my mind I've made for you. The agony comes to life in waves of blue. And I don't know why, but I'm drifting away from you. Oh, I'm drifting away from this galaxy inside of me. Don't wanna be your enemy, no. This fallacy, it's guiding me as it takes me away from you. And I'm drifting away from you.
You take me away. You take me away. You take me
taking on another day with the ups and the downs. My heart will never stray. You take my breath in so many different ways. The calm in your heart, you keep in my mind, baby. Losing touch with what I used to say. And finding you in every word I write. All of my days and all of my years, I can't stop thinking about you. All of my struggles and all of my fears, I couldn't.
We've seen a million places, touched a million skies. They say there ain't a good without goodbye. Oh, you and me, we sometimes seem like day and night. But you should know that I'll keep you right by my side till the day I die. Till the day I die, keep you right there. Keep you right by my side till the day I die. Till the end of time, such a wild ride. Till the day I die. Till the day I die. We've seen a million places, touched a million skies. They say there ain't a good without goodbye. Oh, you and me would sometimes seem like day and night, but you should know that I'll keep you right by my side till the day I die, till the day I die. Keep you right there, keep you right by my side till the day I die, till the end of time. Such a wild ride till the day I die.
as we are walking this dangerous line, and I am watching this world unfold as they are doing just what they're told. I'm left to nowhere, no place to hide, out in the open, like ashes in the sky. I quit the illusion. Built an empire of sound as the bridges were falling down. In the midst of endless time, we have built along this line. Built an empire of sound as the sun was coming down, falling deeper in this dream as we failed to find the sea. Built an empire of sound. Built an empire of sound.
I'm left in nowhere, no place to hide, out in the open, like ashes in the sky. I could be I'm moving on.
Built an empire of sound as the bridges were falling down. In the midst of endless time, we have built along this line. Built an empire of sound as the sun was coming down, falling deeper in this dream as we failed to find the sea. Built our empire of sound. Change is inching its way through time as we are walking this dangerous line, and I am watching this world unfold walking this dangerous line, and I am watching this world unfold as they are doing just what they're told. I'm left to nowhere, no place to hide, out in the open, like ashes in the sky. I quit the illusion. Built an empire of sound as the bridges were falling down. In the midst of endless time, we have built along this line. Built an empire of sound as the sun was coming down, falling deeper in this dream as we failed to find the scene. Built an empire of sound. Built an empire of sound.
I'm left in nowhere, no place to hide, out in the open, like ashes in the sky. I could be I'm moving on.
Built an empire of sound as the bridges were falling down. In the midst of endless time, we have built along this line. Built an empire of sound as the sun was coming down, falling deeper in this dream as we failed to find the scene. Built our empire of sound. Change is inching its way through time as we are walking this dangerous line, and I am watching this world unfold as they are are doing just what they're told. I'm left to nowhere, no place to hide, out in the open, like ashes in the sky. I quit the illusion. Built an empire of sound as the bridges were falling down. In the midst of endless time, we have built along this line. Built an empire of sound as the sun was coming down, falling deeper in this dream as we failed to find the scene. Built an empire of sound. Built an empire of sound.
I'm left in nowhere, no place to hide, out in the open, like ashes in the sky. I could be
Built an empire of sound as the bridges were falling down. In the midst of endless time, we have built along this line. Built an empire of sound as the sun was coming down, falling deeper in this dream as we failed to find the scene. Built our empire of sound. Change is inching its way through time as we are walking this dangerous line. And I am watching this world unfold as they are doing just what they're told. I'm left to nowhere, no place to hide, out in the open, finish line, and I am watching this world unfold as they are doing just what they're told. I'm left to nowhere, no place to hide, out in the open, like ashes in the sky. I quit the illusion. Built an empire of sound.
Sustain us for the long term. So this is critical. The goal of the Paris Agreement was to hold the Earth's temperature increase to 2 degrees centigrade. Even if you did everything that was in Paris, we're going up to 3.7 or 4. That's catastrophic. What President Biden is trying to do is listen to science, listen to facts, and make tough decisions about what we need to do to take the world to a better place, and particularly our own country. And that is what he is committed to doing. So, yes, there are a lot of challenges right now, which sadly, all of them were exacerbated by the last 4 years. Now we have to try to make up for that. And that is a hard pull, but this president is capable of doing it, and he's putting together a great team that I think can help him do that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina McCarthy. Thank you, Secretary Kerry, for joining us. You're free to go.
Thank you.
To go see the president. So you can all see they're both experienced and passionate and tenacious.
Sing. But to fans all over the world, she's the YouTube star Superwoman.
What up, everyone? It's your girl, Superwoman. I know we can change the world for the better, one positive day at a time.
My parents now know what I do. They didn't know what I did for a long time in the beginning of my career. I was just making videos in my room. They had no idea.
Mom, Dad, have you seen my keys? I can't find them anywhere. Because you're always on phone.
Until someone called them, like a family member from another part of Canada, was like,
Canada.
Is your daughter making videos? And I think my mom was like, I don't know, Lily, are you making videos?
Just making videos grew into an entire career. Today, Lily's YouTube channel has some 12 million subscribers, over 2 billion views, and guest stars like Michelle Obama, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and Seth Rogen.
I think a lot of young girls are raised to believe that you're gonna go to school and then graduate and then get married and then get a job and then have kids.
And Lily was on that path, all the way through a psychology degree at York University in Toronto. But when she started thinking about a career,
I started to immensely panic and think something was wrong with me because I tried to figure out my life and it wasn't working in that straight line.
It was 2010, and YouTube was only 5 years old.
I thought nothing of YouTube. I was probably the last person in my circle of friends to discover YouTube. And I remember when I did, I thought, this is so strange. There's people making videos in their rooms and other people are watching them.
So she figured, why not give it a shot?
I one day posted a video because I was sad and I wanted to be creative and happy.
She didn't know how to edit video or write scripts, so she winged it.
It was so bad and so cringe, and my expectation was literally nothing. I was like, I'm gonna put this video up, a couple of my friends are gonna watch it, probably make fun of me, and that's gonna be the end of this. The second and third video came from, wait, 70 people watched my first one, can I get 80 to watch the next one?
She kept creating, she kept posting, and the viewers kept coming. Lily had found an audience.
A lot of the comments were, oh my God, there's a brown girl on YouTube.
More specifically, Indian. Lily's parents immigrated to Canada from India, and Lily was born and raised in Scarborough, near Toronto.
My home life was awesome. My parents, even though I portrayed them to be quite strict in my videos.
Oi, Lily, where the rest of your skirt, huh? I teach you like this, walk around like this, showing everything to everyone.
They actually aren't like that at all. They're pretty modern and pretty cool.
Your dress is short, don't know what for.
And were pretty lenient with me. I mean, I got away with a lot of things. I was a brat. I was a brat.
She had a different idea of what she wanted out of life than other kids. In a grade school graduation slideshow, her classmates said they wanted to be lawyers.
As a full-stack web developer, you need to be good at
it gets in the weeds a little bit, but what we're talking about here is pausing leasing, pausing the issuance of new oil and gas rights on federal lands. But the administration has been very clear it is not stopping, at this point, it is not stopping permitting on existing leases. So if you're drilling an oil well on federal land in Wyoming, you can keep doing that. You can even get new permits to do so. And that's what we've seen in the last week. The government is still issuing those permits. But what it is doing.
If you work in a team, you should be using Monday.com. It's a platform to manage any team and any workflow.
A year, we may see some bigger changes.
Interestingly enough, energy stocks right now are the only stocks in the S&P 500 in the green. S&P 500 in the green as a sector, up close to 1% right now. What is the effect that these executive orders, or just the Biden administration in general, having on oil companies?
Well, so right now, oil companies across and their representatives in D.C. are scrambling to figure out their next steps. These are dramatic changes and truly a sea change from what we saw over the last 4 years, where President Trump really prioritized oil and gas development. So this is while the oil industry has been anticipating this and really was anticipating it all last year as they built up, bought more leases in preparation for a possible Biden win. This is still a real threat to the bottom line of operations that are tied to U.S. federal lands. Certainly, anyone drilling on federal land in New Mexico is concerned about what will happen over the next 4 years and working to adapt to these changes.
We're also expected to hear from John Kerry today, of course, former senator, former secretary of state, now climate czar. We're going to hear from Gina McCarthy as well. What do you expect them to talk about, Jennifer?
Well, what we're hearing from John Kerry already, and which we expect to hear from him again in about 20 minutes, is that we're really, the nation is really starting to reengage globally in the climate change threat. What's happening today, part of what's happening today is a commitment to hold a climate summit with world leaders on Earth Day in April and begin developing a new, stronger carbon cutting pledge for the U.S. So that's something he's been talking about. He's been talking about the U.S. really dedicating some spending to that fight globally and supporting climate finance globally. So that's the kind of thing we expect to hear from John Kerry today. Gina McCarthy, of course, will continue to talk about how the Biden administration is pursuing a whole of government approach to the climate change fight.
Jennifer, we are a week exactly into this new administration. How are these policies being received by environmentalists? What are you hearing?
Mostly, environmentalists are happy. This is exactly what they expected and hoped for out of the Biden administration. That comes with one big caveat. Many of them want the administration to go much, much further. So while they are excited about these early steps, they want these to not be the last. Today, for instance, many environmentalists who have called for a permanent leasing ban are cheering the temporary moratorium. They want to see, and have been very clear, they want to see that made permanent. These actions aren't enough to keep them happy long term, but they're excited about the change in direction so dramatically in just, as you put it, 7 days.
Bloomberg's Jennifer DeLuey. Thank you so much for your time, Jennifer. Always great to have you on the show. Now, we don't want to bury the lead with the rest of the afternoon's top news, so here are some stories we do not want you to miss. The Biden administration's move to boost the supply of COVID-19 vaccine in coming weeks cannot come soon enough. Even with the extra supply, demand for the shots will still be overwhelming for months. President Biden saying Tuesday that the U.S. would ship at least 10 million doses for the next 3 weeks. It's a 16% increase over the current level. That pace means tens of millions of Americans who are now eligible for the shot, those 65 and older in many states, will still have to wait. Biden also announcing plans to increase the country's longer-term supply of the vaccine. The administration said it is, quote, working to purchase 200 million more doses, 100 million each from Pfizer and from Moderna. The delivery over the summer is set to take place. Now, that's going to bring total U.S. supply of the 2-dose vaccine to 600 million shots. That's enough to vaccinate 300 million Americans by fall. And BlackRock CEO Larry Fink saying that both the private and public sectors will have to get together to deal with climate change. Fink speaking to Bloomberg's John Micklethwaite at the Bloomberg The Year Ahead conference.
If we are really going to be moving to a net zero carbon environment, all of society has to move, not just public companies. Governments worldwide are going to need to invest in the R&D of how to prepare for climate change and helping us design and build new technologies.
And as we just talked about, President Biden will take executive action to make the federal government more environmentally conscious in its decisions. You can learn more about these stories and stay up to date on the day's news at Bloomberg.com. Well, coming up, the slow pace of vaccinations in Europe.
In this video, I'm going to show you how to create this ebook and also this flip book direct from my blog post, How to Create an Ebook in 7 Steps. All I need to do is highlight the URL and click copy and to my clipboard. In Designer, I can import content from a load of different sources, but in this case, I can click import from blog post, paste in the URL and click fetch, and then choose a template. I've got hundreds of templates to choose from in all niches. I can preview them or just click on use to see what it looks like. Designer will pull in that content. I can navigate throughout the whole ebook using the navigator on the right hand side, where I can reorganize pages or duplicate pages. And I can also change anything in the ebook, any font, style, color, spacing. I can add images, I can customize images, I can move anything around in the ebook. Let's just change some images. In this case, I'm going to word wrap this one, and I can do that literally with one click. I can also add new images into my ebook, where I can search over millions of royalty-free images from Unsplash and Pixabay. So in this case, what we'll do is we'll just import some more content. And again, I can import from a load of different sources, but let's do Google Docs. All I need to do is click the share link in Google and paste it into the box here and click import. And my Google Doc will now get imported into the same ebook. So all that's left now is to switch out the cover page for something else. And again, I can search for any cover from millions of images over Unsplash and Pixabay. I can preview these, I can edit the image, or if I see one I like straight away, then I literally just click use and it will copy that image into my ebook for me. So all that's left is to tweak. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create this ebook and also this flip.
Welcome back to Take a Break. I'm Tim Stenevec. Staying in Europe now, where the EU and drug maker AstraZeneca are sparring over the mass vaccination campaign in the region, a showdown that has descended into chaos. Joining us now from London is Bloomberg's Emma Chandra. Emma, thanks so much for being here this afternoon. Look, the European Union wants clear commitments from AstraZeneca on how many shots will be made available to the bloc during the first half of the year. Will they get that? Do they have any leverage?
Those are two very big questions, Tim, that I think the EU would really like to have some answers to. What we've seen today is a very public war of words between the European Union and AstraZeneca. And this all goes back to late last week when AstraZeneca said that initial deliveries of their vaccine to the European Union would be lower in quantity than the European Union had expected. We've seen various tit-for-tat responses between the two of them. But as I said, that really, the row exploded publicly today. Overnight, the CEO of AstraZeneca had given an interview to a number of European newspapers where he had said that the contract had meant that there were no specific quantities agreed upon. He also said that the European Union had made its payment or had made their contract a few months after the UK, and therefore if they would have to wait a little bit longer. We've since heard from the European Union today saying they don't buy that first come first serve analysis. They say that that is not in their contract. In between all of this, we had the very farcical moment where the European Union said that AstraZeneca had pulled out of a call between the two of them, and AstraZeneca said it was still planning to be on the call, and that call is now due to go ahead, and that is certainly perhaps when the European Union will expect to get some of those commitments from AstraZeneca. In terms of leverage, of course, in the end, the European Union does eventually regulate these companies, and perhaps both sides given the public nature of the spat and the way it has exploded today, might be looking for some ways to tone things down.
Yeah, the bloc certainly has a little bit of more power than the single company. I want to go to this graphic that we just had up on that talks about how many doses per 100 people the European Union, has administered. 2.19 doses versus 7.5 doses in the U.S., 11 doses where you are, Emma, in the U.K., and almost 45 doses in Israel. Why has the European Union fallen so far behind compared with other areas of the world when it comes to vaccine administration?
Well, that number, Tim, really speaks to that public row we've just been discussing. European Union leaders feeling the pressure because their level of vaccination is so low, especially compared with other parts of the world and especially compared with the UK. On Bloomberg Television today, we've been speaking to a number of people who say this all plays into the politics of Brexit, the fact that the UK's vaccination rollout seems to be going so well in comparison. Now, the reasons behind that low or slower rollout in the European Union, they were slower to approve a number of the vaccines. They're really relying on the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine at the moment, and that company as well said that they were facing some production issues just last week, so they're getting lower doses from there. In fact, Sanofi here in Europe now helping or stepping in to help produce those vaccines. And of course, that AstraZeneca vaccine has still not been approved by the European Union. We're expecting that will get approval on Friday. Then, of course, the European Union doing the sort of arranging vaccines, making contracts with companies for vaccines for the whole of the European Union, but then individual countries organising their own vaccination rollout. And so what we have here is a very political story too, as leaders are trying to deflect blame.
Yeah, I do wonder, Emma, when it comes to these member states, when we do get and see more vaccines being distributed to the European Union, will we start to see more even distribution among different EU members?
Well, that is I think it will be very difficult to see whether we will get even more even distribution. We'll have to see basically how many vaccines they are going to get over the next few months. I think they will get the vaccines that they have paid for, that they have contracts for. They will just be at a slower rate. And that means that the distribution, of course, will be a lot slower. And you compare that, of course, with what is happening in the UK when we're seeing sort of more than 7 million people now vaccinated, or at least having their first shot of the vaccine.
Emma, I want to talk about where you are in London. It's a good sign that you're at the office today and you are not doing this from home or
not with many other people.
Yeah, you're probably all alone there. But I want to talk about new restrictions that are being placed, especially when it comes to travelers. Boris Johnson announcing new rules today for travelers is coming just a day after the UK reached that grim milestone, 100,000 deaths in the country. What's the new policy here, Emma?
Yeah, this is very interesting. We did pass that 100,000 death milestone. It is grim. The government been having to answer a number of questions about how it has been so high. And it really compares when you look at the more positive vaccination story here in the UK. We do then, of course, have this situation where we are still seeing high numbers of deaths, high infection levels. So we heard from the Prime Minister today, new rules on quarantining travellers. Not all travellers coming from known COVID hotspots, so from South Africa, from South America and from Portugal. All travellers, whether they're UK citizens or not, will have to quarantine in government-mandated accommodation, likely hotels. They're saying that all those travellers who cannot be sent home will have to stay back to the country of origin, will have to quarantine for 10 days in hotels. And so that's the big news with regard to quarantine in the UK. We also then had a bit of an update from the Prime Minister about when we might see restrictions start to ease in the UK. Not the middle of February, which had been what had initially been suggested when we first went into this third lockdown. The Prime Minister saying it will be more like the beginning of March, and the priority will be on reopening schools. And so that's what the Prime Minister is saying today. They're hoping that some schools, or most schools, will be able to open to at least some pupils from March the 8th.
Bloomberg's Emma Chandra over in London. Emma, thank you as always for your time. It's great to see you on Quick Take this afternoon. Well, coming up after. after the
all of those things.
Everything you need to know about our changing environment, the politics of global warming.
We can and we will deal with climate change.
In the fight against climate change, Bloomberg Green has you covered.
Ensuring gender equality in politics is becoming very important all over the world, but some countries still lag behind others. It's the case of Romania, which, despite having the lowest pay gap between men and women in the European Union, is backsliding in promoting women in top government positions. A male hold on parliament has strengthened after December elections, and now the cabinet of Prime Minister Florin Câțu contains just one female minister, while the central bank board has none. Romania stands in contrast to the rest of the world. Take President Joe Biden, for example, who just unveiled a US cabinet with the highest ever female representation. Even in Serbia, which is a neighbor of Romania and not yet an EU member, the government is split almost equally between men and women. In an attempt to change the situation and improve the treatment of women in politics, Anca Dragu, a former executive of E.ON, quit her job to become the first female head of Romania's Senate. But she says it wasn't an easy decision, mostly because of the attitude of her male colleagues. So Romania is a lesson for all countries not to become complacent and strive to ensure gender balance as a way of developing the society.
That was a look at Romania's gender equality efforts. Welcome back to Take a Break. I'm Tim Stanovec in New York. It's time now for Quick Take by the Numbers, where we give you the numbers that tell the story. This afternoon's number is 4%. By the fourth quarter of 2020, the rate of new restaurant openings fell just 4% compared with the year before. That's according to data compiled by Yelp. More than 18,200 eating establishments, that includes restaurants, farmers markets, food trucks, they opened during that period. And the data show that new restaurants continued to open last year at a relatively fast pace despite the pandemic. For the full year, U.S. food service launches were down just 16% overall. That comes despite falling 40% in the second quarter when much of the country was in lockdown. And then in October of 2020, 12 more restaurants were actually opened than in the same month of the prior year. Recent restaurant openings, perhaps unsurprisingly, feature more outdoor space, less table density, and designs that emphasize efficiency. That's all according to the report from Yelp. So the big question, could this early data suggest that a restaurant rebound may finally be taking shape in some cities? Bloomberg Quick Take reporter Jennifer Zabasaja is here with me now. Hey, Jen.
Thanks, Tim. Joining us now to talk more about this is Katie Button, executive chef and CEO of Katie Button Restaurants in North Carolina. She's also a member of the Independent Restaurant Coalition, which was created to help restaurateurs during this pandemic. Katie, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much.
So, I want to talk to you first. Every state, every city really has a different set of rules for restaurants. Talk to us about what it's been like in North Carolina for you and your restaurants.
In North Carolina, our mandate, by our governor at capacity levels has been pretty steady at 50% once we were finally able to return to in-space dining over the summer. We have recently, though, had a further restriction of a 9 o'clock end of alcohol sales and a 10 o'clock curfew, meaning every diner has to be out of the restaurant by 10 and we have to stop serving alcohol at 9. That alone, we saw a further decrease in sales of about 20% due to that strengthening of restrictions in our state.
And so what's the sentiment like for a lot of restaurateurs there? How's it been the past few weeks?
It's really challenging right now. I mean, we've seen Asheville is a community of less than 100,000 people in our city, and we've seen just, in December, 20 more additional independent restaurant temporary closures happen. And a temporary closure of a restaurant is it's like the last thing a restaurateur does before they feel that they have to permanently close. It's like a last ditch effort to hold on to as much finances as you have in hopes that you still have enough to reopen one day. So it's really dire. I mean, I think that the ramifications that we're going to see in permanent closures as a result of these temporary closures is really scary.
And, we're seeing on our screen some data that's actually just come out this week from the National Restaurant Association. But, it's sort of twofold, right? I mean, we're getting some data that's a bit grim about what happened in 2020. But then also, Open Table put out some report that says maybe some restaurants are on the mend. So I wonder, among your colleagues nationwide, I mean, what's the state of the industry?
I mean, what we're seeing is that in December, restaurants and bars lost 372,000 jobs, which was by far more than any other industry. Across this pandemic, we've seen 2.4 million jobs lost in the hospitality sector. I mean, they're suffering. It's huge. I mean, full service restaurants and bars are down between 30% to 65% when they're looking at sales year over year of 2020 compared to 2019. I think that these temporary closures locally and the increase we've seen locally in unemployment from our sector, I mean, these are just warning signs that we're not through this. And the independent restaurant sector is honestly the one that's hurting. Smaller businesses are the ones that are always the first to fold. They don't have as much resources. And we're starting to see signs of that moving into the future.
But then, Katie, just on that front, I mean, in California this week, I know there were some restrictions that were lifted, but I mean, we also have to think about the state of the virus at this point, right? I mean, are you concerned at all seeing some of these reopenings happening?
I mean, I think that what's happening in the industry is that we're walking this tightrope of balancing public health, but also the fact that as an employer, I mean, I provide health insurance for my workers. I provide stability. I provide their jobs that they have in the future that pays their mortgage and, helps them raise and feed their children. So it's this like balancing act. And what we've been asking is honestly, the only answer is aid for the industry. I mean, when you're seeing the hospitality sector being devastated far worse than other industries, yet the only aid that we've seen so far has been general aid for all businesses. There's nothing restaurant specific. We really need something like the Restaurants Act, a grant program for restaurants to ensure that these jobs don't disappear permanently.
Yeah, and I know as part of the IRC, you guys have been pushing for Congress to take up the Restaurants Act. The president, though, has put forward his own stimulus relief plan. I mean, I wonder, have you been able to go through it? And does that provide any sort of relief that could help you, at least in the short term?
I haven't gone through it in detail. It's not focusing on, while he mentions, the president acknowledged that restaurants need help and that they need a grant and not another loan. So he's definitely on our side. I see that. But, the Restaurants Act hasn't officially been accepted or a part of that. So we're still, advocating and trying to tell the story about the fact that, currently unemployment in the leisure and hospitality sector is 157% higher than the national average. I mean, it's just a fact. We are suffering far worse than any other sector and therefore deserve and need industry-specific aid to make it to the other side.
And Katie, just to close, I mean, I want to try to end on a positive note. I mean, I myself, I'm a New Yorker. I love independent restaurants. And I have noticed there have been a few innovative changes. Do you see some of the innovations that we've seen nationwide sort of sticking long term? And do you think that will hopefully benefit you and be able to help bounce the industry back?
I mean, I do think that restaurateurs are resilient, right? We're like, let's solve this problem, hands on. We're not going to give up. We're going to fight till the very end. And that's why we're seeing all these, cocktails to go and take out and all the pivots of all the different kinds that we're all making. But the truth is that our business model was built on people gathering in tight spaces, large volumes of those people sitting down, enjoying a cocktail or a glass of wine, ordering some appetizers, then more, and then, maybe a bottle of wine or coffee at the end and dessert. And there is no replacement for that for our industry. Yes, these new things up.
So let me take your hand, I'm here to stay. Ups and the downs, my heart will never stray. Chasing thoughts, running wild throughout the day. With the calm in your heart, you keep in my mind at bay. Losing touch with what I used to say, and finding you in every word I pray. All of my days and all of my years, I can't stop thinking about you. All of my struggles and all of my fears, I couldn't do it without you. So let me take your hand, I'm here to stay. I remember when I saw you at the end of that night. I was looking for some trouble, you were looking alright. Every time you said a word, I was staring at your lips. I don't think I've ever been so close to a love like this. I never met someone like you. I never felt this way, ooh. For your love, I would take potions. For your love, I would cross oceans. All the hurt and the pain, you could take it all away. For your love, I would take potions. I would take potions. Sipping on a little something, I've been sipping too much. I just poured myself a double and I'm thinking about us. Every time I see your face, I think of what I lost. How could all the little moments that we had be so far gone? I never met someone like you. I never felt this way, ooh. For your love, I would take potions. For your love, potions, all the hurt and the pain. You could take it all away for your love. I would take potions. All the hurt and the pain, you could take it all away for your love. I would take potions. Sky blue eyes.
So the Chinese actually have a different concept of sovereignty to the one that prevails in the West, or rather has prevailed ever since the predominance of the European nation-state system. For us in the West, sovereignty means also the same system. For the Chinese, it doesn't mean the same system. So I think that one of the things that we can see with the rise of China is that the very nature of the discussion of political or national units will be very different. And I think that over a long period, I'm not talking in a short-term period, but over a longer-term period, the character of international relations will change profoundly. I mean, you know, this has been the era of European domination. And we are now moving into a new era where not just China, but 85% of the world's population that does not live in the West will have, in a way, their say for the first time. They will be the new subjects of history. They've never been the subjects of history in the modern period since the British Industrial Revolution. They've always been the objects that have been dominated by the West. Now, how will the world be different when they rise? Now, here I'm giving you the...
Mempelai pria ini bukan menangis di hari pernikahannya karena sedih. Dia menangis bahagia.
Please welcome your panel on the Chinese economy in the next 30 years, political reform versus status quo, moderated by author and co-founder of Full Sky Partners, Cheryl Wu Dunn.
Greetings, everybody. I'm sorry we're starting a little bit late, but sit tight because we are charging back to the future. We are talking about China and the economy in the next 30 years, and there's a range of views. Some think that China's economy is in a bubble, it's going to collapse. Others think that it will be the dominant economy in the world. Just as the U.S. dominated the world from the late 1800s to now, one of the biggest questions is, will China take over that role? We're going to solve that here now. So let me start with Michael. To my right, he's at the Hudson Institute and author of The 100-Year Marathon. We have Nick Lardy, who is at the Institute for International Economics and the author of The State Strikes Back. To my left, we have Sophie Richardson, who is China Director at
Mr. Bannon, thanks for being here at this undisclosed location in Texas.
It's Steve.
Steve. It's good to have you here. Thanks for being here.
Glad to be here. Excited.
And you know, you're here very specifically to talk with me about something that you and I study very intently, and it's China. Yep. And I'd love to just start right off the bat with asking you, what do you think China's true intentions are in kind of their grand strategy? What is their grand strategy?
The grand strategy is very simple. It's to be a hegemonic world power. I mean, you can see through One Belt, One Road. You can see through Made in China 2025. You can see through everything they're doing, their strategy of being like the East India Company in Sub-Saharan Africa, what they're doing in the Caribbean, now what they're doing in Latin America, the economic war, what we call all forces of government, right? All areas of government focus on the economic war against the United States, their military buildup, they're basically trying to close the South China Sea. It is the most geopolitically ambitious strategy we've ever seen. Let me be very specific. There are three great theories of geopolitics. You've got Mackinder's theory of the Asian landmass. You have Mahan's theory of cutting off the choke points of the world's oceans. And you have Speakman's theory of keeping your enemy off of the Asian landmass. The Chinese are the only power in world history to ever try to do all three simultaneously. You know, Napoleon and Hitler and others tried to do the Eurasian landmass. Others, the British and the American empires, the British Empire and the American system we have today is built off Mahan's naval strategy, and then Speakman's is one from the early 20th century. What China is doing is with One Belt, One Road, trying to basically connect the old Silk Road all the way up to Italy. As we saw in the paper today, the Italian government, the guys in the 5-star, De Maio came back from Beijing. They had a huge thing about, hey, we want to end the One Belt, One Road in Italy where Marco Polo essentially left. We had a vote this week in the Maldives which really rejected what they're trying to do in the Mahan strategy of taking all the naval bases and choke points throughout the world. And then Speakman, what they're trying to do is force the United States, which has been a Pacific power, off of the landmass through what they're doing in the South China Sea, what they're doing around Taiwan, etc. They want to push us back to Guam. So listen, they're the most, people have said for years to kind of cover this. A lot of the Wall Street and City of London and Frankfurt crowd have kind of said, oh, well,
Pasti Anda sering kan lihat iklan di media sosial yang bentuknya seperti ini, yang mana ada orang yang menawarin Anda pelatihan online supaya Anda bisa belajar skill baru. Dan harusnya Anda udah sadar kalau mereka yang punya bisnis pelatihan seperti ini bisa menghasilkan banyak uang. Saya tunjukin ini karena Anda sekarang juga bisa ikut menghasilkan uang juga dari industri ini tanpa.
I think it was disgraceful that the intelligence agencies allowed any information that turned out to be so false and fake out. I think it's a disgrace. And I say that. And that's something that Nazi Germany would have done and did do. I think it's a disgrace. That information that was false and fake and never happened got released to the public. As far as BuzzFeed, which is a failing pile of garbage, writing it, I think they're going to suffer the consequences. They already are. And as far as CNN, going out of their way to build it up. And by the way, we just found out, I was coming down, Michael Cohen is a very talented lawyer, he's a good lawyer in my firm. It was just reported that it wasn't this Michael Cohen they were talking about. So all night long, it's Michael Cohen. I said, I want to see your passport. He brings his passport to my office. I say, hey, wait a minute, he didn't leave the country. He wasn't out of the country. They had Michael Cohen of the Trump Organization was in Prague. It turned out to be a different Michael Cohen. It's a disgrace what took place. It's a disgrace. And I think they ought to apologize to start with Michael Cohen.
Sir, since you're attacking us, can you give us a question?
Go ahead.
No, Mr. President-elect.
Go ahead.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
Since you are attacking
No,
our news
not you.
organization,
Not
can
you.
you give us a chance?
Your organization
You are
is
attacking
terrible.
our news organization.
Your organization
Can you give us a
is
chance
terrible.
to
Let's
ask a question, sir?
Go ahead.
Sir, can
Quiet.
you state,
Quiet.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
can you state
She's asking a
categorically,
question.
Mr.
Don't be rude.
President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be
You're
rude.
attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
Can you
No, I'm
give
not
us a
going to give you a
question?
question. I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir,
Go ahead.
can you state categorically that nobody... No, Mr. President-elect, that's not
Go ahead.
appropriate.
For just $67, you can make as many videos as you want, and you never need to pick up a camera or use any fancy editing software. With Doodly, you drag, you drop, you tweak some settings, and boom, video done. It'll take you
Wait. Quiet.
There's been a report out that 48 bomb threats have been made against Jewish centers all across the country in the last couple of weeks. There are people who are committing anti-Semitic acts or threatening to...
You see, he said he was going to ask a very simple, easy question. And it's not. It's not. Not a simple question, not a fair question. Okay, sit down. I understand the rest of your question. So here's the story, folks. Number one, I am the least anti-Semitic person that you've ever seen in your entire life. Number two, racism, the least racist person. In fact, we did very well relative to other people running as a Republican. Quiet, quiet, quiet. See, he lied about, he was going to get up and ask a very straight, simple question. So, you know, it's welcome to the world of the media.
Would you accept that that was a good example of the smooth running of government?
Yeah, I do. I do. Let me tell you about the
Were there
trouble.
any mistakes in that?
Wait. I know who you are. Just wait.
I guess my question is, why should Americans trust you when you accuse the information they receive of being fake when you're providing information?
Well, I don't know. I was given that information. I've seen that information around. But it was a very substantial victory. Do you agree with that? How much longer should we stay here, folks? Wait, let's see. I want to find a friendly reporter.
You said that the leak.
So the wall will get built, but we may not have an agreement today. We probably won't. But we have an agreement on other things that are really good. Nancy, would you like to say something?
Well, thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity to meet with you so that we can work together in a bipartisan way to meet the needs of the American people. I think the American people recognize that we must keep government open, that a shutdown is not worth anything, and that you should not have a Trump shutdown. You have the White House, a Trump shutdown. You have the White House, you have the Senate, you have the House of Representatives, you have the votes. You should pass it.
No, we don't have the votes, Nancy, because in the Senate we need 60 votes.
No, but in the House,
and we don't
you
have.
could bring it up right now.
Yeah, but
today.
I can't, excuse me, but I can't get it passed in the House if it's not going to pass in the Senate. I don't want to waste time.
Well, the fact is, you can get it started that way.
The House we can get passed very easily,
Okay,
and we
then
do.
do it. Then
But
do
the
it.
problem is the Senate, because we need 10 Democrats to vote, and they won't vote.
That's not the point, Mr. President. The point is that there are equities to be weighed, and we're here to have a conversation in a prayerful way, so I don't think we should have a debate in front of the press on this. But the fact is, the House.
Jadi teman-teman bisa ngedapetin barang ini di 1688 dengan harga segini, dan teman-teman juga bisa
Health and environmental and economic impacts on communities of color, so-called fence line communities, especially those communities, brown, black, Native American, poor whites. It's hard, the hard-hit areas, like Cancer Alley in Louisiana, or the Route 9 corridor in the state of Delaware. That's why we're going to work to make sure that they receive 40% of the benefits of key federal investments in clean energy, clean water, and wastewater infrastructure. Lifting up these communities makes us all stronger as a nation and increases the health of everybody. Finally, as with our fight against COVID-19, we will listen to the science and protect the integrity of our federal response to the climate crisis. Earlier this month, I nominated Dr. Eric Lander, a brilliant scientist who is here today to be the director of the Office of Science and Technology. I also nominated another brilliant scientist, Dr. Frances Arnold and Dr. Maria Zuber, to co-chair the President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology, so-called PCAST, that President Eisenhower started 6 weeks after the launch of Sputnik. It's a team of America's top scientists charged with asking the most American of questions. What next? What's the next big breakthrough? And then helping us make the impossible possible. Today, I'm signing a presidential memorandum making it clear that we will protect our world-class scientists from political interference and ensure they can think, research, and speak freely and directly to me, the Vice President, and the American people. To summarize this executive order, it's about jobs, good-paying union jobs. It's about workers, building our economy back better than before. It's a whole-of-government approach. Put climate change at the center of our domestic, national security, and foreign policy. It's advancing conservation, revitalizing communities in cities and on the farmlands, and securing environmental justice. Our plans are ambitious, but we are America. We're bold. We're unwavering in the pursuit of jobs and innovation, science and discovery. We can do this. We must do this, and we will do this. I'm now going to sign the executive order to meet the climate crisis with American jobs and American ingenuity. And I want to thank you all. I'm going to go over and sign that now. first order I'm signing is tackling the climate crisis at home and abroad. This next one, for restoring trust in government through science and integrity and evidence-based policymaking. More here. And this last one is the President's Council on Advisors on Science and Technology establishment. I thank you all for your time.
Sir, what sacrifices are you asking Americans to make?
Thank you. Mr. President, we just tell you guys how emergency on climate change, you guys.
Sir, after the Republican vote, do you still support the impeachment trial, sir? Still support the impeachment trial, sir? Thank you, sir.
Wake up, and we're taking on another day. With the ups and the downs, my heart will never stray. You take my breath in so many different ways. With the calm in your heart, you keep in my mind at bay. Losing touch with what I used to say, and finding you in every word I pray. All of my days and all of my years, I can't stop thinking about you. All of my struggles and all of my fears, I couldn't do it without you. So let me take your hand, I'm here to stay. Devil days, you help me live this way. With the ups and the downs, my heart will never stray. Chasing thoughts, running wild throughout the day. With the calm in your heart, you keep in my mind at bay. Losing touch with what I used to say, and finding you in every word I pray. All of my days and all of my years, I can't stop thinking about you. All of my struggles and all of my fears, I couldn't do it without you. So let me take your hand, I'm here to stay.
I saw you at the end of that night. I was looking for some trouble, you were looking alright. Every time you said a word, I was staring at your lips. I don't think I've ever been so close to a love like this. I never met someone like you. I never felt this way, ooh. For your love, I would take potions. For your love, I would cross oceans. All the hurt and the pain, you could take it all away. For your love, I would take potions. I would take potions. Sipping on a little something, I've been sipping too much. I just pour myself a double and I'm thinking about us. Every time I see your face, I think of what I lost. How could all the little moments that we had be so far gone? I never met someone like you. I never felt this way, ooh. For your love, I would take potions. For your love, I would cross oceans. All the hurt and the pain, you could take it all away. For your love, ooh, I would take potions. All the hurt and the pain, you could take it all away. For your love, I would take potions. Sky blue eyes, I see a world behind them. No more time, sinking into the silence, reaching out for something you may never find, looking for a reason not to lose your mind. Feel like you're caught in a world you don't belong to, praying that you'll make it home. I know you're scared that the place you love is gone. Don't fear what you do not know. Neon signs flicker away forever, cross state lines, we could be lost together, reaching out for something you may never find, looking for a reason not to lose your mind. Feel like you're caught in a world you don't belong to. Praying that you'll make it home. I know you're scared that the place you love is gone. Don't fear what you do not know. Feel like you're caught in a world you don't belong to. Praying that you'll make it home. I know you're scared that the place you love is gone. Don't fear what you do not know.
Turn off the lights and let me feel you. I don't wanna think about myself right now. Stay out all night because I want to. Wake up in the morning and I'm hollowed out. I drew the outline on the paper, now I'm running out of space. Family at the dinner table, but I don't have a place. Where will we go? Why am I afraid to be alone? Sinking in petals, looking for the bottom. Where will we go? Cried on the phone again, I'm sorry. You don't need to think about me breaking down. Looking for guidance, but there's no advice to give, 'cause I'm the only one who can figure it out. Where will we go? Oh, why am I afraid to be alone? Sinking in petals, looking for the bottom. Where will we go?
city light. Now I'm moving through the shadows. You woke me up tonight. I know that everything's in focus now. I'm seeing clearly for the first time. Today I woke up feeling more alive. Tomorrow everything will turn around. Everything will turn around. Everything will turn around. Everything will turn around.
I wished upon a star last night and thought of you, but it must have been a dream, 'cause you're not here. I've never been one to believe in fairy tales or fantasy, but perhaps it's time for a change of mind. I guess there's a first for everything. Oh, we fell in love, we had our fun. You always had enough dreams for both of us. I wonder what would come of us if we could trade these ends for beginnings. I'm drinking from an empty cup. The hardest part of young love is growing up. It's not enough to fill me up, 'cause now there's one less star in the city. Now there's one less star in the city. Now there's one less star in the city. I saw a shooting star last night and thought of you, but it must have been a dream, 'cause you're not here. We fell in love, we had our fun. You always had enough dreams for both of us. I wonder what will come of us, 'cause now there's one less star in the fine without you, but I'll wait and someday join you in the stars. But for now, I can't keep thinking about you, 'cause I can't find my way, 'cause now there's one less star in the city. Sky blue eyes, I see a world behind them. No more time, sinking into the silence, reaching out for something you may never find, looking for a reason not to lose your mind. Feel like you're caught in a world you don't belong to, praying that you'll make it home. I know you're scared that the place you love is gone. Don't fear what you do not know. signs flicker away forever, cross state lines. We could be lost together, reaching out for something you may never find, looking for a reason not to lose your mind. Feel like you're caught in a world you don't belong to, praying that you'll make it home. I know you're scared that the place you love is gone. Don't fear what you do not know. Feel like you're caught in a world you don't belong to, praying that you'll make it home. I know you're scared that the place you love is gone. Don't fear what you do not know.
Turn off the lights and let me feel you. I don't wanna think about myself right now. Stay out all night because I want to. Wake up in the morning and I'm hollowed out. I drew the outline on the paper, now I'm running out of space. Family at the dinner table, but I don't have a place. Where will we go? Why am I afraid to be alone? Sinking in petals, looking for the bottom. Where will we go? Cried on the phone again, I'm sorry. You don't need to think about me breaking down. Looking for guidance, but there's no advice to give, 'cause I'm the only one who can figure it out. Where will we go? Oh, why am I afraid to be alone? Sinking in petals, looking for the bottom. Where will we go?
I could tell within a moment you knew me well. I could see you gave me solace when I needed someone there. In the darkness I still see you like a golden arch, rising high above the sunset in every way you are. I know that everything's in focus now. I'm seeing clearly for the first time today. I woke up feeling more alive. Tomorrow everything will turn around. Everything will turn around. Oh, oh, oh. Everything will turn around. Oh, oh, oh. All the days when I was searching for some kind of sign, now I've reached a destination with someone of my kind. Keep me breathing with a feeling like an LED light. Now I'm moving through the shadows. You woke me up tonight. I know that everything's in focus now. I'm seeing clearly for the first time today. I woke up feeling more alive. Tomorrow everything will turn around. Everything will turn around. Oh, oh, oh. Everything will turn around. Oh, oh, oh. Everything will turn around.
I wished upon a star last night and thought of you, but it must have been a dream, 'cause you're not here. I've never been one to believe in fairy tales or fantasy, but perhaps it's time for a change of mind. I guess there's a first for everything. Oh, we fell in love, we had our fun. You always had enough dreams for both of us. I wonder what would come of us if we could trade these ends for beginnings. I'm drinking from an empty cup. The hardest part of young love is growing up. It's not enough to fill me up, 'cause now there's one less star in the city. Now there's one less star in the city. saw a shooting star last night and thought of you. But it must have been a dream, 'cause you're not here. Had enough dreams for both of us. I wonder what will come of us. 'Cause now there's one less star in the city. We fell in love, we had our fun. You always had enough dreams for both of us. Wonder what would come of us if we could trade these ends for beginnings. I'm drinking from an empty cup. The hardest part of young love was growing up. It's not enough to fill me up, 'cause now there's one less star in the city. I can't keep living without you, but I'll wait and someday join you in the stars. But for now I can't keep thinking about you, 'cause I can't find my way. 'Cause now there's one less star in the city. I can't keep living without you, but I'll wait and someday join you in the stars. For now, I can't keep thinking about you, 'cause I can't find my way. 'Cause now there's one less star in the city.
I'm here where endless meets the end. Do you see me? I'm hidden here again. Your whispers found its way, calling me to stay. I'm standing at the edge, but something always brings me back. All the voices in my head reminding me of what I have. If I fall tonight, you can bring me back to life. If I fall tonight, you can be my saving light. You can be my saving light. You can be my saving light. You're here like lightning in my veins. Now they see me, and I'll never be the same. Your whispers found its way, calling me to stay. I'm standing at the edge, but something always brings me back. All the voices this house is cold and empty, just a ghost of who I used to be. Stare at my own reflection, wonder if you'd even recognize me. Who's gonna save goodnight? Who's gonna stop the world from turning? Who's gonna numb my pain? Who's gonna save me when the sky is crashing?
In fact, as you know, in the last crisis, the banking system held up fairly well so far, and the dislocations that we saw from the outsized economic and financial shock of the pandemic really appeared in the non-bank sector. So that's right now we are engaged in carefully examining, understanding, and thinking about what in the non-bank sector will need to be addressed in the next year or so.
Thank you. Thank you. James Politi, FT.
Thank you so much, Michelle and Chair Powell. I had a question on fiscal policy. Last year, you consistently said that the economy needed more fiscal support, and I believe we're pleased when the $900 billion package was approved in December. We now have a new president, a new Congress. We have a weakening short-term outlook. Do you believe the economy still needs additional support on the fiscal side, and in what areas?
Thank you. So I guess I'd start by saying that the fiscal response that we've seen to this downturn has been strong, and I think we can say now that it's been sustained after the passage of the most recent act in late December. And that's really a key reason why the recovery has been as strong as it's been. Fiscal policy has been absolutely essential. When we look back on the history of this period, we'll see a strong and sustained fiscal policy response. I would add that we're, as I mentioned, a long way from a full recovery. Something like 9 million people remain unemployed as a consequence of the pandemic. That's as many people as lost their jobs at the peak of the global financial crisis and the Great Recession. Many small businesses are under pressure, and there are other needs to be addressed. And the path ahead is still pretty uncertain. So all of that said, the judgment on how much to spend and in what way is really one for Congress and the administration and not for the Fed. And these discussions are going on right now. So there's a discussion, as you know, right now around those precise questions, and that's appropriate, but not for us to play a role in talking about specific policies.
Thank you. Steve Leisman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wonder if I could follow up on Gina's question here. I understand that you do address issues of valuations through macroprudential policies in the first instance, but there's a range of assets, and I know you do watch a range of assets, but from Bitcoin to corporate bonds to the stock market in general, to some of these more specific meteoric rises in stocks like GameStop, how do you address the concern that super easy monetary policy, asset purchase and zero interest rates are potentially fueling a bubble that could cause economic fallout should it burst?
Let me provide a little context. The shock from the pandemic was unprecedented, both in its nature and in its size, and in the amount of unemployment that it created and in the shock to economic activity. There's nothing close to it in our modern economic history. So our response was really to that, and we've done what we could first to restore market function and to provide a bit of relief, then to support the recovery, and hopefully we'll be able to do the third thing, which is to avoid longer run damage to the economy. Our role assigned by Congress is maximum employment and stable prices, and also look after financial stability. So in a world where almost a year later we're still 9 million jobs at least, that's one way of counting, it can actually be counted much higher than that, short of maximum employment, and people are out of the labor force who were in the labor force. The real unemployment rate is close to 10% if you include people that's the labor force. It's very much appropriate that monetary policy be highly accommodative to support maximum employment and price stability, which is getting inflation back to 2% and averaging 2% over time. So on matters of financial stability, we have a framework. We don't look at one thing or two things. We look, and we made that framework public after the financial crisis so that it could be criticized and understood and we could be held accountable. And you know, the things that we look at are, we do look at asset prices. We also look at leverage in the banking system. We look at leverage in the non-banking system, which is to say corporates and households. And we look at also funding risk. And if you look at across that range of readings, they're each different, but we monitor them carefully, and I would say that financial stability vulnerabilities overall are moderate. Our overall goal is to assure that the financial system itself is resilient to shocks of all kinds, that it's strong and resilient, and that includes not just the banks, but money market funds and all different kinds of non-bank financial structures as well. So when we get to the non-financial sector, we don't have jurisdiction over that. But so I would just say that there are many things that go in, as you know, to setting asset prices. So if you look at what's really been driving asset prices really in the last couple of months, it isn't monetary policy. It's been expectations about vaccines. And it's also fiscal policy. Those are the news items that have been driving asset values in recent months. So I know that monetary policy does play a role there, but that's how we look at it. And I think that the connection between low interest rates and asset values is probably something that's not as tight as people think, because a lot of different factors are driving asset prices at any given time.
Can I follow up, Michelle, if you don't mind? Mr. Chairman, do you rule out or see as one of your tools in the toolkit the idea of adjusting monetary policy to address asset values?
So You know, that's, as you know, that's one of the very difficult questions in all of monetary policy, and we don't rule it out as a theoretical matter, but we clearly look to macroprudential tools, regulatory tools, supervisory tools, other kinds of tools rather than monetary policy in addressing financial stability issues. It's not, you know, the monetary policy we know strengthens economic activity and job creation through fairly well understood channels. And a strong economy is actually a great supporter of financial stability. That will mean strong, you know, well capitalized institutions and households will be working, and so we know that. We don't actually understand the trade-off between the sense of it is, would you, if you raise interest rates and thereby tighten financial conditions and reduce economic activity, now in order to address asset bubbles and things like that, what will that even help? Will it actually cause more damage, or will it help? So I think that's unresolved, and I think it's something we look at as not theoretically ruled out, but not something we've ever done, and not something we would plan to do. We would rely on macroprudential and other tools to deal with financial stability issues.
Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Derby.
Yeah, thank you very much. I wanted to ask you, if there is a near-term rise in inflation related to the recovery, how will you determine whether or not it's something that's temporary or more enduring? And how much inflation is the Fed willing to tolerate before it acts to restrain price pressures?
So on inflation, a couple of things. There are a couple of things that are worth mentioning. One is just that we know that we measure inflation on a trailing 12-month basis, and as we lap the very low inflation readings of March and April of last year, we'll see measured 12-month inflation move up a few tenths. This is just, they're called base effects, and that's a transient thing that we think will pass. There's also the possibility, indeed it's in some forecasts, that as the economy fully reopens, there'll be a burst of spending, and because people will be enthusiastic that the pandemic is over potentially, and that could also create some upward pressure on inflation. Now, again, we would see that as something likely to be transient and not to be very large. In both cases, we don't see those as either lasting or particularly large. So the way we would react is we're going to be patient. Expect us to wait and see and not react if we see small and what we would view as very likely to be transient effects on inflation. I think if it helps to look back at the inflation dynamics that the United States has had now for some decades, and notice that there has been, significant disinflationary pressure for some time, for a couple of decades. Inflation has averaged less than 2% for a quarter of a century. And the inflation dynamics with the flat Phillips curve and low persistence of inflation is very much intact. Those things, they change over time. We understand that inflation dynamics evolve constantly over time, but they don't change rapidly. So we think it's very unlikely that anything we see now would result in, troubling inflation. Of course, if we did get sustained inflation at a level that was uncomfortable, we have tools for that. It's far harder to deal with too low inflation. We know what to do with higher inflation, which is, should the need arise, we would have those tools, and we don't expect to see that at all. In terms of how much, what we've said is we'd like to see, because inflation has been running persistently below 2%, we'd like to see it run moderately above 2% for some time. We have not adopted a formula. We're not going to adopt a formula. We're going to, we use policy rules and formulas in everything we do, consult them constantly, but we don't set policy by them. We don't do that. And so we're going to preserve an element of judgment, and again, we'll seek inflation moderately above 2% for some time, and we'll show what that means when we get inflation above 2%. The way to achieve credibility on that is to actually do it. And so that's what we're planning on doing.
Thank you. Rachel Siegel.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Chair Powell, for taking our questions. I have a two-pronged question about vaccines. So you specifically mentioned progress in the rollout of vaccines, but there is still plenty that we don't know about supply over the coming weeks and months. So I'm curious how you and your colleagues are factoring in vaccine rollouts and funding for distribution in your forecasts and what that timeline looks like. And then secondly, I'm wondering if you yourself have been vaccinated along with other FOMC members. Thank you.
So in terms of the rollout of the vaccines, we see what everyone else sees, right? We see that we're vaccinating people, and at a rate of about 1 million a day, apparently, and that it'll take quite a while to get to the numbers that the experts say are required to get to herd immunity. And we think it's going to be a struggle. You'll notice that we said that the pandemic still provides considerable downside risks to the economy, and that's one of the reasons why is the slowness of the rollout. Another reason why is just the arrival of these new virus strains. We don't know how to model that. You know, we can have a base case, but we realize no one knows how this new vaccine will roll out, how successful it will be, how high we'll be able to drive vaccination, and those sorts of things. So we have a base case, but we always look at the range of possibilities. In this case, we particularly look at the downside risks. You know, that's really what we do. Is we set policies so that we're going to remain accommodative until we actually see improvement in the economy and not just in the outlook in the data. So that's how we think about that. And I would also add, there's nothing more important to the economy now than people getting vaccinated. You know, if you think about the places where the economy is weak, I mentioned bars and restaurants. That's 400,000 jobs we lost last month, and that's all because of the spread of the pandemic. Many other areas of the economy, actually, there was actually job creation in goods production and in some service industries as well. But we're just not going to be able to get that last group of people back to work, and it's a big group of people, until we get the pandemic behind us. We have not won this yet. We haven't succeeded in doing this yet, and we need to stay focused on it as a country and get there. And we clearly can, but we're going to have to stay focused, and that includes us at the Fed, monetary policy. I have been vaccinated once, and I expect to get my second vaccine sometime soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael McKee.
A question. I have a question that I was going to ask, but I need to follow up for a second on the questions about the markets and macroprudential, and that is, you have one tool you can use. Would you be have you discussed raising margin requirements under Regulation T, and if not, why not?
No, we haven't done that. I mean, remember, we're focused on maximum employment, price stability, financial stability as I defined it, the broad financial sector, and that's not, over the years we consult the fact that we have that authority, but no, it's not something we're looking at right now at all.
My follow-up question is, a lot of people in the markets think that you're basically stuck right now because you can't really go lower with the zero bound, rejecting negative interest rates, and you can't really go higher because of the threat of a taper tantrum. Is the Fed locked into a very narrow corridor now? And if not, you did say you would signal any change in interest rates a long time ahead, but New York Fed President Bill Dudley says there's no way you can avoid a taper tantrum. So how do you do that?
Well, first, we think our policy stance is just right. We think it's providing significant support for economic activity and hiring. We adopted a new monetary policy framework of flexible average inflation targeting in August. In September, we implemented rate guidance that was consistent with and based on that new framework. In December, we did the same for asset purchases. So we now have strong guidance on rates and on asset purchases that's providing very strong support for economic activity. If you look at the sectors of the economy that are interest sensitive, you will see very strong activity: housing, durable goods, automobile sales. So our policies are working, and we think that they are. We think our policy stance is right. That said, there's clearly more that we can do with asset purchases, for example. We can, that's a tool we can do more. We can strengthen our guidance too if we were to think that were appropriate. What you see is an economy where what's holding it back is not the lack of policy support from the Fed. It's the pandemic. It's the spread of the disease and people's reluctance or inability to partake in certain kinds of economic activities, which amount to a meaningful part of the economy. So that's that's what I would say. We certainly have things that we can do, but we think we're in the right place. In terms of tapering, it's just premature. We just created the guidance. We said we'd want to see substantial further progress toward our goals before we modify our asset purchase guidance. It's just too early to be talking about dates, which we should be focused on progress. That we'll need to see actual progress, and when we see ourselves getting to that point, we'll communicate clearly about it to the public, so nobody will be surprised when the time comes, and we'll do that well in advance of actually considering what will be a pretty gradual taper.
Well, if I might, your policies are working, and you can maybe do more. But the question is, can you stop doing it when it's time?
Yeah, so I was here. We had all the same questions back in after the global financial crisis. We raised interest rates, we froze the balance sheet size, and then we shrank the balance sheet size. So there's no reason why we won't be able to do that again. In fact, we learned a lot from that experience, and we understand, as we understood then, but even more so, we understand that the way to do it is to communicate well in advance, to do predictable things, and to move gradually, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to be very transparent. But honestly, the whole focus on exit is premature, if I may say. We're focused on finishing the job we're doing, which is to support the economy, to give the economy the support it needs. There are people out there who've lost their jobs. It's essential that we get them back to work as quickly as possible, and we want to do everything we can to do that. And that is our primary focus right now. It's too soon to be worried about that. When we come to exit, we have an understanding of how to do that, and we'll do it very carefully. But in the meantime, our focus is on giving the economy the support it needs.
Thank you. Victoria Guida.
Hi, Chair Powell. I just wanted to go back to fiscal stimulus for a second. We just had a $900 billion package, and now Congress is talking about doing more. Do you expect more aid directly to consumers to be inflationary? And specifically, how worried should lawmakers be about, causing concerning levels of inflation?
I would say that, again, we have been struggling with disinflationary forces for some time. If you look around the world, look in Western Europe, look at Japan, around the world, large economies have felt much more downward pressure on inflation, have fallen short of their inflation goals for some time now. That is the broad global macroeconomic context that we all live in. And we believe that those global forces, which are aging demographics, advancing technology, and globalization, those forces are still in effect. Now, they may slow down, and it's an interesting question, the extent to which, for example, globalization may slow down or even reverse. Notwithstanding that, inflation dynamics in the United States have consisted of a flat Phillips curve and low persistence for a long time. We do not expect in the near term that will change significantly. It may evolve over time, but significant time. These things are changing, but they don't change at a rapid rate, and I don't believe that they will. So I'm much more worried about falling short of a complete recovery and losing people's careers and lives that they built because they don't get to back to work in time and things like that. I'm more concerned about that and the damage that will do not just to their lives but to the United States economy, to the productive capacity of the economy. I'm more concerned about that than about the possibility, which exists, of higher inflation. Frankly, we'd welcome slightly higher inflation, somewhat higher inflation. The kind of troubling inflation that people like me grew up with seems far away and unlikely in the both domestic and global context that we've been in for some time.
Thank you. Steve Matthews, Bloomberg.
Chair Powell, Treasury Secretary Yellen, in a memo to her employees yesterday, spoke of the close working relationship with the Federal Reserve. And I'm wondering how you would describe the relationship with Treasury under Chair Yellen, and if you've met with Treasury Secretary Yellen and or President Biden since he has taken office. And secondly, about that, as you know, in the last 4 years, there was constant criticism of the Fed, from the president, and from other officials of the administration. Do you have any kind of assurance or expectation that this will now be more of a hands-off attitude in terms of commenting on monetary policy from the administration?
Okay, so I have the highest respect and admiration for Secretary Yellen, and I'm sure that we're going to have a good working relationship together. Absolutely sure. We'll also have a good institutional relationship between the Fed and the Treasury, and I expect that'll be very good and very productive. It'll be collaborative. We'll work together. Now, the way that works is that we know the agencies know each other well, and this is true of finance ministries and central banks around the world. We know to stay in our lanes. We know we have different authorities. We know that we work together on some things to, for the benefit of the public, and I'm absolutely sure that we're going to do that. I haven't spoken to Secretary Yellen. I'm going to be calling her Chair Yellen most of the time, so you just have to be patient with me. Secretary Yellen, I haven't spoken to her since I congratulated her on being nominated. I do expect very soon to begin our regular calls and ultimately meetings, which have gone on really for 70 years. The Treasury Secretary and the Fed Chair have had weekly or so meetings, lunches, breakfasts, calls, depending on the situation. So I expect that will happen soon. I have not met the President Biden, and just I don't have any comment on your last question. I wouldn't want to comment one way or the other.
Just to follow up brief, have some 13.3 emergency programs that will expire March 31 that the Fed and the Treasury have worked on together. Do you have an expectation of whether those will be left to expire then, or whether they will be extended?
So I'll just say that I think our facilities were very successful in supporting the economy during its darkest moments, and I believe protected the loss of millions of jobs. We're going to continue to monitor financial and credit conditions throughout the economy, and if the kind of emergency conditions arise that are required under that law, then our emergency lending tools will remain available. Now, I've had no discussions with anybody at Treasury on that. Because I haven't had any discussions with anybody at Treasury other than high-level meetings with the transition team a month or so ago. And once we start having those meetings, of course, I'll observe the longstanding practice of not talking about confidential discussions. But as of now, there haven't been any discussions at all.
Thank you. Howard Schneider, Reuters.
Thanks, Chair Powell, for doing this. So a couple questions on timing. In the statement, you removed, regarding the coronavirus, you removed the time reference, short and medium term, when it comes to the risks to the economic outlook. And it simply now says considerable risk to the economic outlook. Should we read that as a sort of a positive change, that you now see sort of the end game of this down the road? Or is it more that you're worried it could last longer than you expect? And related issue, have you given any guidance yet to the Fed staff or system on when the Fed itself might resume in-person events?
Yeah, so in the statement on the language, we dropped in the medium term because really the risks are in the near term, frankly. As I mentioned, it's the rollout of the vaccine, it's the arrival of new strains that are more contagious and perhaps more virulent. And those are the, and also just the ongoing, third thing, of course, is the ongoing spread of the virus. It's in the near term, it's not in the medium term. We were thinking, when we're thinking medium term, we were thinking of longer term scarring and things like that. Nonetheless, I mean, I think to go to your second question, and as I mentioned in my opening remarks, there's good evidence to support a stronger economy in the second half of this year. In fact, if you look at as we do, look at a range of private forecasters, what was their forecast in December and what's their forecast now, right across the board, much higher forecasts for 2021 growth. And that's because of the ongoing rollout of the vaccines and also because of fiscal policy expectations and the reality of the CRRA Act getting done. So there is a positive case there. But think of that as the sort of base case is a strong economy in the second half of the year. The language says that there's still, I forget the exact language, downside risks. We used an adjective. It was considerable risks to the economic outlook. So there are considerable risks to the economic outlook. Nonetheless, that is a more positive outlook, and that's really how I would parse that for you. Don't know when we're going to come back to work, and I'm actually in the Eccles building here today, and I don't know when that'll be. I mean, I can't wait to be working in person again, but we've been able to work successfully remotely. We really have, and we're not going to push people when they're uncomfortable. We're going to wait till people are comfortable, and wait till it's well and truly time to get back together in person.
Thank you. Hannah Lang.
Hi, Chair Powell. Thank you so much for taking our questions. The Fed in December eased its restrictions on bank dividend payments and share repurchases. And so I wanted to ask what factors the Fed will be looking at to determine what level banks can pay out in the second quarter and when we can expect such a decision.
Okay, so we're monitoring that on an ongoing basis, continuing to evaluate our restrictions, and we haven't made a decision about whether to continue them in the second quarter or not. We're just going to look at we're going to look at the whole range of information, including economic activity, banking activity, the success in vaccination. All of those things will go into our assessment of what the right answer is to that question. I think we've been careful about rolling back those restrictions, and I'm pleased with where we are. Let's remember that the banks that are subject to the stress tests have taken very, very large reserves, very large loss reserves, and also increased their capital. They have higher capital ratios now than they had at the beginning of the pandemic. So the banking system has held up well here, but we're going to be careful about this, and move based on data and all of the data when we make that decision.
Thank you. Edward Lawrence.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for taking the question. So I'm interested in the housing sector. Home prices are rising 9% in some areas because of low interest rates. Are you concerned about a bubble forming there yet? And is there a price increase that you're looking at where it might change the level of mortgage-backed securities the Fed is buying? And as a continuation of that, is the bubble in the corporate debt cycle more concerning for you?
So on housing, housing is now, the level of housing activity is at its highest level since before the global financial crisis in some measures. So you've had a very strong rebound in housing. Some of the tightness in housing markets, we think, which has led to the significant price increases this year, we think is a passing phenomenon. There was a lot of pent-up demand. There's a one-time thing happening with people who are spending all of their time in their house, and they're thinking either I need a bigger house or I need another house and a different house or a second house in some cases. So there's a one-time shift in demand that we think will get satisfied. Also, that will call forth supply and we think that those price increases are unlikely to be sustained for all of those reasons. So you asked about corporate debt, I guess.
I'm just concerned if that's a bubble that you're watching.
So we monitor pretty much all of the big financial markets pretty carefully, and what's happened in the corporate debt market, beginning with the announcement of our corporate credit facility, has been you've seen lenders lending and borrowers borrowing. You've seen relatively significantly fewer defaults than we expected. There were a lot of downgrades and some defaults at the beginning, and those have really slowed down. And by the way, the same is true for bank loans. Banks are not experiencing the kinds of defaults that we all were concerned about in the early months of the pandemic. It's just not materializing. So they're having to reverse some of their loss reserves, actually. Corporate debt spreads are tight. They've tightened. They were very wide, of course, at during the acute phase of the pandemic, and they're now at the lower end of their typical range, and we do monitor that. It's not something we can control or operate on directly, but we do watch those things. And in a sense, it's good that companies have been able to finance themselves during this period because they've been able to stay in business. They've been able to keep their employees working, and that's a good thing, and that's part of highly accommodative financial conditions.
Thanks. Chris Rugaber.
Thanks. Can you, since you suggested that the concern from the pandemic is perhaps a shorter term concern, and that's why you removed some of the language from the statement, can you talk about what kind of impact you're seeing so far? Do you feel that structural impacts have been, how would you characterize those? I know that's been a major concern. You've talked about it at this press conference and others. Do we see longer term damage to the job market? Or has there been some success in preventing that? And compared to previous recessions, how would you characterize the damage to the job market here in terms of things like, permanent job loss, workers that need to shift industries, that kind of thing?
The big thing is that the jury's out, and this has been a concern since the very beginning. Is the concern that people, if they become disconnected from the industry or the job that they used to work in, it can be years or never when they get back into the labor force, particularly for people who are well along in their careers. The same kind of scarring for small businesses, which don't have the kind of resources that you need to get through this. So we've had a big concern about both of those. We haven't seen as much of it as we feared, and that's a good thing. But as I said, the jury is out here. 9 or 10 million people still out of work because of the pandemic. A big chunk of them are people who worked in public-facing jobs in the service sector. And, they've gotten a lot of support from fiscal policy and some from monetary policy. But the question is getting them back to work. And, it's harder it takes longer empirically to find that next job if you're looking in a brand new industry. It's not easy to change careers completely mid-career. So that just, again, stresses the urgency that we feel and others feel at fully defeating the pandemic, finishing the job, and getting back to a place where it's safe to have these, to stay in hotels, to fly on airplanes, to go to sporting events and movie theaters and all of those things. So those people are still at risk, and we're very, very focused on that group of people with our policy and the way we look at the economy. So many people have had that bridge across the pandemic. We talked about that at the beginning. For many people, it's clear that they've made it across and their job is okay and their house is okay. And, it's been terribly inconvenient and painful, and schools are closed and things like that. But there's a bunch of people yet who haven't found that bridge yet, and we're very focused on that. Of course, the other thing is we're going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought, and some of that is happening. So I think as we get into this, the phase even after the economy fully reopens, I think we're still going to need to keep people in mind whose lives have been disrupted because they've lost the work that they did. And I think it would be wise as a country for the longer run productive capacity of the country if we were to look out for those people and help them find their way back into the labor force, even if it means continuing support for an additional period of time.
Great. If I could ask a quick follow. Yesterday, Susan Rice, domestic policy advisor at the White House, cited a Citigroup study that said closing racial economic gaps could add up to $5 trillion to the U.S. economy over the next 5 years and 6 million new jobs. Do you agree that racial disparities are currently a drag on the economy? And if so, what can the Fed do proactively to narrow those racial gaps in income and wealth, including potentially through regulatory policy?
I strongly agree with that, as a matter of fact. I think if you look at either look at employment gaps or unemployment gaps or wage gaps, wealth gaps, home owning gaps, all of those persistent gaps that exist, even controlling for many other factors, you will see that they're persistent, and they're very difficult to explain. So it's the reason we talk about inequality and racial inequality in particular is that it goes to our job, which is to achieve maximum employment, which links up with we want the potential output of the United States to be as high as it can possibly be. We want an economy where everybody can take part and everybody can put their labor in and they can share in the prosperity of our great economy. That's what we want. And that's how the U.S. economy can be bigger, stronger, growing faster, is if we can achieve a broader prosperity. So now, in terms of our tools, of course, that project that I just mentioned is one for the broader society, for the private sector, for fiscal policy, but we have a role to play, and that is how we think about the labor market. Principally, when we say that the maximum employment is a broad and inclusive goal, what we're saying there is we're not just going to look at the headline, and we never did really, but we're not going to just look at the headline numbers. We're going to look at different demographic groups, including women, minorities, and others, and we're not going to say that we've reached maximum employment, which is our statutory goal, until we've reached maximum employment. And you haven't if there's lots of pockets of people not participating in or not employed in the labor market. So those are the things that we can do. We also do a tremendous amount of research on these issues. We have such a focus on these issues now that we have a web page relatively new where you can access all of it. But it's a lot of activities in our Division of Consumer and Community Affairs. It's lots of research, and it's also our enforcement of the fair lending laws and things like that. So I think everybody's got a role to play here. It's a national goal and a national job, and we're just going to do our part of the job. And it's something we're strongly committed to.
Thank you. For the last question, we'll go to Scott Horsley at NPR.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. You said in your opening remarks that the economy in many ways had proven more resilient than people expected, and that reflected the adaptability of both households and businesses. Are there adaptations that caught you by surprise, maybe related to remote work or new ways to do on-site work, in-person, face-to-face work, that the economy has proven tougher than you expected at the outset of this pandemic?
Well, yes. So I think if you go back to the beginning, there was a real concern. I mean, just take the financial markets, for example. Suddenly, all of those big buildings all over the New York City and all around the world where people work in the financial markets with terminals and everything, everybody had to go home and they had to take their terminals with them. And I think there was a real concern that there would be a tremendous loss of functionality just at the time when the financial markets were under historically difficult conditions. And yet, it worked out okay. So I think many people in the financial sector are still working with their terminals at home, including people on trading floors or on virtual trading floors. Now, some of that's reversing now, but we have definitely learned that we can do more work from home in many, many different lines of work. Of course, that's not possible if your job involves being at a place, doing personal services. For many people, it's not possible, and that's very much something that skews to higher income, higher educated people being able to work from home, and others not so much. So I think we've learned that. The other thing, though, even conditional on that, when we saw the wave in the South and the West, the wave of cases this summer, I think intuitively, having seen what happened in March and April, we expected there to be a significant hit to economic activity. And people kind of just got on with their lives and went and dealt with it. And it didn't actually, it had a much smaller effect on economic activity than we expected. Then comes the fall wave, which is just so much larger, very, very large wave, as was very much forecast, people going indoors, the cold weather, all of that. And even there, if you look at, I would say, look at the December jobs report. So big job losses in that part of the service sector. So I mentioned 400,000 jobs in bars and restaurants. It's another 100,000 in similar kinds of activities. But if you look elsewhere, it's not having an effect. Even purchasing manager index and sentiment indexes on areas of the economy that are not really directly exposed to the pandemic in their economic activity, they're doing okay. They are. Housing's a great example. The way the housing industry worked, that when you buy a house, there was a lot of in-person contact. They managed to pretty much immediately go to a more virtual, with all of the technology. They were able to completely avoid that, and the housing market's been really strong, notwithstanding that it's now quite virtual rather than in person. So there's been a lot of adapting, but you can't adapt, hotels, sporting venues, movie theaters, restaurants, bars. You just, those are just going to, and that's millions and millions of people. And so you're just going to have to defeat the pandemic, which, as I mentioned, we have a plan to do that, but we haven't done it yet, and we need to finish the job, and it's within our power to do that as a country this year. And I would just urge that